Hello, all, and welcome to episode 87 of the 3 for 1 Sky Fantasy podcast by fantasyfootballhub.co.uk. Our final episode of a grueling 2021-22 season. My name is Fergi, and I'm joined as usual by my co-host Paul McAnulty. Paul, how was your Sky weekend?
Feel like it's Groundhog Day because every time I come on, I was like, "Oh, it's been all right," and some highs, some lows, and then it somehow averages out back to back to
Yeah,
the mean of where I was last week. So, the 38th overall, I guess Kane over Son has worked in my favour, and Mason Mount finally got a haul, which has helped me, and then kind of Madison and KDB hauls the other way is kind of balanced out, I think. So
it seems to be quite swingy at the moment, don't it? I know exactly what you mean. Is I'll either have a good Saturday or a good Sunday, and then it counters back.
yeah,
But I don't think the template seems to be as maybe strong as it was, a couple of months ago. I think I think teams are, sorry, I think players are a lot more spread. There's a lot more variation in players. It just so happens that those players are counteracting each other all the time. Like one week, I don't know, Saka will do something and Madison will blank, and then Madison will do something and Saka will blank. So as you say, you either climb it in rank and then drop down, or you drop down in rank and climb up again. It is tough going. See, it seems like you've been in the 30s rank, Paul, forever. To be honest, it's in the 40s, then the 30s. Since overhaul,
yeah,
it's tough to move.
yeah. I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy where I'm doing well in a few cash leagues as well. So if I can see out to the end of the season where I am, I think I take it as an overall success.
Nice. I'm 125th. I did climb up. I think I got to about 112th over the weekend, but similar. Climbed on Saturday, dropped on Sunday. Still very, very outside chance of a top 100 finish. I need Coutinho. He's my only differential, really, just to do something, just to bang in, a goal and a man of the match performance, just to help me up over the top 100. I keep getting there and then falling away. So
You thinking about captain on Thursday then for that reason?
maybe so. Yeah, we get to the lineups, don't we? So I'll take a look on Thursday, see how we go. I'll see how it goes this evening as well. Saka's 72% owned, I think, in top 1K. But I think as you've mentioned previously, it's all very congested. The top kind of 200 as well in it. But we will see how it goes this evening. Good stuff. For any new watchers and listeners, you are very, very welcome. If you haven't subscribed to us yet, please press the subscribe button at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen and set the alerts so you don't miss our podcasts and live streams. Also, please press the like button if you enjoy our content. Good afternoon to Daniel Barnes is in Golden Goal Fancy Podcast, joining us from the gym today. Ian Parrin, early lunch. Kippy is in. Kaiser Sose. Dom Slater says he wish he had transfers left so he could take on board any advice. And Sammy White, the end is nigh. Afternoon, gang, indeed. Aman Tatler, afternoon all. Going to miss this show over the summer. We all will. Peter G is in. Perry Hart. He shouldn't have complained about the no-show man of the match points because he dropped a place when they were added. Perry, I think he's 4th overall in standings or 5th maybe in the leaderboard. So well done there, Perry. Paul Jones is in. And that is it so far. Great to have you all with us. Today we're going to look at the key points from the weekend and the updated top 1K ownership for the final time this season. We'll take a look at the average transfers remaining, preview this week's matches and next weekend's finale, before taking on masses of Twitter questions and looking at updated mini leagues and the overall leaderboard, as the end is indeed nigh. This time next week, it will all be over. It's hard to believe. So firstly, let's look at the points from the weekend. Harvey Barnes and Jared Bowen, 2 8 million midfielders, your favourite spots in the team, Paul, both banging in 19 point and 80 point respectively. Vardy, who we talked about a fair bit, didn't we? A couple of weeks ago, was a bit of a punt maybe, has had back-to-back hauls. So anyone who went with Vardy has been absolutely flying at the ranks. Madison, another one of those 8 million midfielders with a haul as well. What are your takeaways from the weekend, Paul?
All the Leicester players are in the bracket of I can't get on them at the right time.
Yes.
I think it just seems season after season I try and maybe harshly on any actual who I got in last season and done well on that, like at the start of that run. But everyone else I seem to get on at the wrong time there. So yeah, Barnes, Maddison, Vardy, they're all good options, particularly Barnes and Vardy based on ownership for those that with transfers left. If you know Leicester's record against Southampton and they host them on the final day of the season. So if you were going for a explosive differential option, or even you don't even need to captain them, perhaps there's a player that you own that doesn't appear in the starting lineups, and moving to one of those two could really be beneficial. So yeah, the Leicester attackers done really well at the weekend. I know a few people that brought in Ryan Sessegnon. With 3 games left.
Goodbye.
It was a good option to bring him in just before the Arsenal game. So Spurs still had the 3 games from then, only 7.2 million as well. And he picked up man of the match at the weekend. So nice return for him. Richarlison, I guess, I don't know. Like, I think you got to feel unlucky if you're a Richarlison owner yesterday, based on they could have had another penalty. He didn't get shots bonus, so that would have been another 2. So I know some people would have been on captain him as well. So a 10-pointer that could have really been a 20-pointer, and he's still relatively low owned. His ownership's only at 29% in the top 1,000 now as well. So I've got Richarlison and had jumped a few places even just by owning him in that Everton Brentford game. But the Brentford captain, the Brentford man of the match has been updated. I think that's what you're alluding to there. So Ericsson got man of the match in that award because it only recently came through. I've seen a few people on Twitter moaning at Sky Sports for not updating it in relatively quick fashion, which is fair.
And Harry Kane won the Kane versus Cancelo captaincy yesterday with a 10-pointer, the penalty shots bonus as well.
Cancelo returned 3, didn't he? He just got past him.
He did only just right to the death, didn't he? So yeah, well done to those who captained Harry Kane there. A couple of randoms in there as well, but yeah, they were probably the most high-profile players. Quick question of XNS Jun Scuts. Question for Paul: do you think Pulisic is a good differential option?
It's on my list. It's on the list.
Really? Oh, flipping heck! I'll leave that then.
So there was a question that was on the Twitter feed, and it was who's the most explosive differential options for potential captaincy in the last day, and I had written Pulisic down 0.1% owned. So, and the way that the Sky algorithm works, they have to put in a value in that field. So they always put in 0.1 as opposed to 1. So it could actually be that nobody in the top 1,000 owns him.
Wow.
And I think he's 8.9%, 8.9 million. And if he starts against a really dreadful Watford side, he could really be someone that's a good last day punt.
Could make Havertz and Werner both picked up knock. So yeah, that could be an interesting one there for sure. Just a quick look at the top 1K ownership. Cancelo still at 94.3 and Saka at 72. Obviously going to be a big captaincy option this evening. Lots then have gone down into the 60s. Laporte 64, Salah 63. That's quite interesting because with the result yesterday, I do wonder whether they'll try and rush him back a little bit. But he's also home to Wolves on the weekend as well, which is a good fixture. What are you thinking there on Salah, Paul, at the moment?
Well, I've thought about this quite a lot, and although it doesn't matter to me because I've got no transfers left anyway. But I don't think that him or Van Dijk will play the last 2 games, and I think and there could have been an argument, even if City lost yesterday. I think the fact that City got a point means that Jurgen will just keep to the same way that he was going to play that and rest them anyway. I think that even if they got beat yesterday and it was in Liverpool's hands again, and that if they thrashed Southampton, that they would still rest them both. And apologies if it's someone who listens to the show that made this tweet on, I think it was yesterday morning, and I looked at it and it was, remember when Newcastle were really in form and Liverpool went to Newcastle on the Saturday lunchtime?
Yes, I do.
And that was still in Liverpool's hands at that point in time. And it was an informed Newcastle team. He rested Salah, he rested Trent. So it's not if he thinks that those players need a rest anyway, it's not, even if it was in their hands, it's not unlike Klopp to rest them anyway. So yeah, I've got Van Dijk, Salah as my captain options for Tuesday. So I'm kind of writing that off as I'm getting no points.
I think they'll play on Sunday regardless. Because I think they'll beat Southampton anyway. And then Man City have still got to beat Villa. And, they still have to win the match, which obviously they're likely to do. But can you imagine if City don't win that match and Liverpool don't take either game seriously? I just can't believe it. I just think that this whole season, they play their whole season to come down to a finale like this, and then they let it go with a whimper, even though, like I say, imagine City don't beat Villa. And then they could have won had they taken it more seriously. I can't see Klopp putting himself in that position personally. I can't. I agree the game tomorrow might come a bit too soon, but I think if Liverpool win tomorrow with or without those guys, I can't see how they can't play them on Sunday. I think that would be absolutely bonkers because it's still there to be won. That's my personal view. I think if that happened, that would be one of the biggest managerial blunders ever.
Like Salah's easier to drop than Van Dijk is just now, though.
Because
he's not in form. He's not in form.
Well,
anyway.
No, but he's still the best player in the league, and and one of the best players in the world. I just can't see it. But it's it's personal. It's personal opinion.
I can see why people took him out, especially if you didn't own Kane going into yesterday's game and you were feared on the Son versus Kane and you wanted to double up. I think moving Salah to one of them yesterday was like.
I can understand that if you had a transfer left, but I do think it's risky next week. Home to Wolves. So Wolves are in dreadful form, aren't they? Absolutely awful form. Just got battered by City 5 at home, and it's at Anfield as well. But we will see. Maybe a Salah captaincy on Sunday. Strangely, will be the differential I need to push me to top 100. Maybe. Kane at 60. Sorry, go on.
I was surprised at how low Maddison was. Thankfully, I don't own him, but I had in my mind that he was much higher owned than 19.3%, and that's probably an increase from yesterday as well, based on how well he performed.
I think a few took him out for a couple of Chelsea players, didn't they? For kind of Mount or Havertz or maybe Rudiger or someone along those lines when they had their little spell. I think I did that, but yeah, interesting there. So with those ownerships, to me, I think this is why it's been a bit of a swingy few weeks. We're not being dominated by 90+%. You haven't got Kane, Salah, Cancelo all 90% owned, all hogging the captaincy days now. It's absolutely wide open in it. So should make for some really interesting swings midweek and potentially on Sunday as well. I say, especially if Salah starts on Sunday, because Salah home against Wolves, I think is a lovely fixture. Obviously, there's Kane against Norwich as well, Son against Norwich. But yeah, interesting stuff there. Let's have a look at the average transfers remaining. So this was as of last week. Last Friday. Top 10, 1.1. Top 100, 1. Top 1,000, 1.4. Top 5,000, 2.1. I'm out. So maybe I'm trying to have a bit of confirmation bias there that Salah starts. Don't have Van Dijk. I actually have Matip ahead of Van Dijk, so I may be at a slight advantage there. Tomorrow evening, because if people have got only Salah or Salah and Van Dijk and neither play, and Liverpool keep a clean sheet, that could be quite a hefty swing there for those holding. Robertson and Trent, if they do play, because Klopp did intimate rotation again, didn't he, on the weekend for the Tuesday's game. It's going to be an interesting one. What's your thoughts on the transfers at the moment, Paul?
Yeah, I'm not too sure how far they would have went down after, for yesterday's game either. I
think it was anything obvious, was there, really?
Yeah, but maybe, like I say, like Salah's ownership did come down, so maybe a few moved off Salah to Son or Kane, the one that wasn't owned from those two.
Yeah,
can't see it changing too much to today. Maybe people will use them for a Liverpool player if they have got Van Dijk and Salah on Tuesday night, or there's still fixture gains to be made on a move on Thursday, or just waiting. I don't know that I wouldn't be tempted just to wait to the last game of the season now, and you get to see.
I think so.
See the starting lineups, and there'll be some really low-owned differentials with really good fixtures as well.
Question off Samuel White doesn't have Saka, but does have Salah and VVD. Would you get an Arsenal player in this evening?
Probably. I'd probably move one of those Liverpool players on.
You really?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that there's
more
chance
Salah.
of that.
I just wouldn't move Salah.
Yeah?
I wouldn't. I honestly, I think it's madness. Like Saka away to Newcastle. That's going to be a tough game this evening for Arsenal. I think Newcastle win this evening, or at the very. I can't see Arsenal. I personally, again, maybe a bit biased as a Spurs fan, but I'd be surprised if Arsenal won this evening.
Yeah. I think I would.
And then you get the game against Everton.
Well, if on that basis, then if I was thinking like that, I would probably move Van Dijk on, because I don't think Van Dijk plays Tuesday, and I'm not going to captain Van Dijk on Sunday. So if you're saying
that's
that
fair.
You would want the option of captain and Salah if he started, then maybe the Van Dijk to Saka move tonight would make more sense in that position.
Fair enough. Let's have a look at the transfer. Sorry, not at the transfers, at the fixtures then for this week, which you're talking about. So this evening, Newcastle Arsenal. Like I say, I don't know if I'm just being a hopeful Spurs fan, but I think that's a tough game for Arsenal this evening. They have got very few defenders available. They're going to likely have midfielders sitting in defence. Newcastle at home have been exceptional this season. I think they've only lost to Liverpool in their last, since the February, I want to say. Really good form, playing well. Arsenal not on form, lots of injuries. Saka, 72% will be high. See a few on Nketiah as well. You've already said, so you think you would take out Van Dijk for what? Saka or someone else this evening?
Yeah, in that position, I think I would.
Saka or someone else?
It really
Who do you think is the
depends on
best option? As in, he'll score the most points.
Nketiah, if he plays.
Okay, that's fair enough. Okay, I can't argue with that. Tuesday, Southampton versus Liverpool. We've already said it's going to be really, really tough, this one, isn't it? Because we don't know who's going to play from Liverpool, but Southampton have been leaky. I'd be more tempted to use, if I was to use a transfer to get Saka in this evening, I'd be more tempted to go for someone like Mane, I think, rather than waste a transfer on Saka personally, because I think that Mane has a chance, for me anyway, he has more chance of scoring this week, and he'll very likely, almost 100% play against Wolves on the weekend as well. His ownership will be really low as well. I think he's the kind of player, and he's on form, right? He's on form. He's been scoring.
It's sometimes difficult to answer those questions in isolation without seeing the rest of the team, because they might have Matip in their team as well. And I always hate the thought of taking the captaincy off a player who's going to start with the view that they could potentially score higher than him. So, if you brought in Mane for Salah or VVD and you already owned Matip in that situation.
I agree with that. I'd only do it for a captaincy, but I think if you only had VVD and Salah and they didn't play, I think I would then be tempted to do Salah to Mane, because I think Mane has got as much upside as Salah. The way he's playing, there's a lot of upside there as well, in it. Rather than go for Saka, is my point. That, but again, it's personal thing there. I'm hoping Van Dijk and Salah don't play, because I've got Matip, so that kind of suits me down to the ground there. It's a chance of a boost there. Thursday the 19th. This is a tough one, I think. This day, Everton versus Palace. Plenty of people got Richarlison. I think you said 29% home there. Chelsea against Leicester is a tough one defensively, because Rudiger and Silva may be popular, but Leicester just come off the back of a 5-1 win, playing well. And Villa and Burnley. Burnley absolutely fighting for their lives against Villa. So what are your thoughts on this day?
If, again, you're playing it as a free hit, almost, I would take a Chelsea attacker. if Mount if Mount starts, I think Mount's the best captaincy option.
Yeah.
On Thursday.
Yeah, I think I agree there.
Leicester are still poor at defending set pieces and or defending in general. But I agree with the point that if the big guns are playing, then Vardy loves a goal against a high line as well. Yeah. So you could see them doing well.
I think I go for a Chelsea player attacker as well, because the fact that they got Watford on the weekend at home to Watford as well, so they got 2 nice home fixtures against defensively weak teams. So yeah, I think that I'd go for a Chelsea attacker. Any differential Chelsea attacker there, Paul, you can pluck out?
Well, like I said, Pulisic, but then I don't know that if I didn't have a Chelsea player that I would bring one in, even if I had a transfer, because I just think that on the last day of the season, one game, that they're playing that one game. Obviously depends on who you're taking out. If the person's out, then one game against Leicester versus with the potential of them playing the game against Watford 2, compared to just the Watford game in isolation, maybe it does benefit bringing the player in slightly earlier against the Leicester team. But yeah, I just think Pulisic is the one that's you like a player, Fergi, that has scored a Premier League hat-trick.
I do. You did against Burnley, didn't you?
Yeah, you use that as like your criteria of that there's an explosive nature in there somewhere. So,
yep, like that shout. And then on to the finale. What a day this is going to be. Sunday the 22nd, one of my favourite days of the whole year. Look at this for a schedule of games all kicking off at the same time. Norwich versus Spurs. Come on, Spurs. Come on, Spurs. Let's get that top 4. Man City against Villa. Liverpool against pretty hapless Wolves at the moment, it's got to be said. Leicester against Southampton. They could have an absolute field day there, Leicester players. Palace against United. Chelsea against Watford. Chelsea players again could have a field day there. Burnley versus Newcastle. That is going to be a tough old game to call that one, I think. Brighton, West Ham. Brentford against Leeds. And Arsenal, boo, against Everton, who could again be scrapping for their life in that game. So you said there was a question around kind of final day punts, Paul. Have you got a couple you mentioned there?
Yeah, so written down Pulisic. Vardy still only 4.8% of teams.
I think he'd be a great shout.
And the other one I had written down was Nketiah. And the reason I put Nketiah down was that actually Ivan Toney could be a shout as well. The reason I put Nketiah down, and I would add Ivan Toney to that, is that I think there was a question that came in on the Twitter thread that they had 3 transfers left and they were looking for like some like last day upside players, and you wouldn't be taking out a Son or a Kane with a fixture against Norwich, so you'd only be taking out players probably that don't have a game, sort of like that are injured or out of form or are from lower teams where you don't see a haul happening, and therefore if you're making 3 moves, you're going to have to think of bringing in a player that's friendly on budget to balance out those 3 moves as well. And with Toney and Nketiah both being under 8 million, I think that having one of those 2 along with, well, Pulisic is only 8.9 million as well.
Sure.
But if you're adding them to like a Vardy who's over 10 million, then balancing out, there's a couple of other options that have got the potential to go big as well.
Do you wish you'd held back a couple of transfers for a couple of these luxury ones at the end? Because I look at what's happened in the last week or two, and I look at the week coming up now, and I think I would love to have a couple of transfers left.
Yeah, so this is the point of the season where we start thinking about, or at least I start thinking about, what could I have done slightly differently over the course of the season. I genuinely and again, this isn't being big-headed, I think I've played relatively well, and I think that I am good at measuring transfer usage, like on average across the season. If I was marking myself out of 10 on transfer hoarding and using them at the right times, I would give myself like a solid 7. Whereas I look at someone like Ian Parran, who's maybe like a 9 out of 10 in terms of how he does that, and it's proofs in the pudding because he's overtaken me and is doing really well. I still think there's a lot to be said about making the gains earlier in the season and setting yourself up to be able to challenge further down. So if I can squeeze that to somewhere like in between Ian and I's style to where I would see is maybe maximise transfer usage and how I do it across the season, that's kind of where I want to go. So do I wish I'd stored transfers back? Maybe 1 or 2, but I'm happy that the majority of times I used it at the right times for me throughout the season.
Yep, that's fair. We'll talk in a bit, won't we, about the about kind of learnings and things. I think we've got a couple of questions, haven't we? FPL Spartan says, why are the fixtures in reverse alphabetical order? I've just noticed that. I have absolutely no idea, but they are well spotted there. FPL Spartans and Paul Jones, really good question. What is the bigger upside, Salah or VVD to an alternative Liverpool player for captaincy, but obviously no guarantees to then play on the weekend, or someone from Thursday who could play 2 games? I personally think I would go for Mane. I personally think. I just think Liverpool score the most amount of goals. 2 really good fixtures. If you go in for someone like Pulisic, I think he has the potential to be explosive, whereas Mane has done it time and time again. I think the other one for me, which I would like, is probably Vardy. I think, but again, just purely because of his age, is Vardy going to play? So he played yesterday. Is he going to play Thursday and going to play on Sunday? If he does, the upside is huge. I'm not sure he does. I think Mane has more of a thing. So that's my kind of thoughts on that. What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, I'll be like I do like the Mane shout if he plays on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I still think that he might just go full rotation across the whole team.
Origi and Firmino job.
Genuinely, I think that could be.
Is Shaqiri still there?
But, no, he plays for. He plays for the team that Christopher Mueller from Hibs just signed for. Was it Chicago? Is it Chicago Fire or something like that? Shaqiri, he took a penalty for them the other day. Yeah.
Maybe they'll bring him back for this game. Welcome to the chat, Neil Curra, who is currently top of the shop. Neil is top of the leaderboard, and he is in the chat. Welcome, Neil. Very, very well played this season. Captaincy on Sunday, Paul. Who's it on at the moment?
Kane.
I think I'm the same. I think I'll be tempted by Salah if he starts. Thankfully, obviously we get to see all the lineups, right? And I may. Things at the moment, you don't have to go different either because the players' ownerships are like 60%, not 90%. So.
Well, that's it. I think that if I was in your position, you're playing for a top 100 finish because you're not playing many cash leagues or anything like that. Is that in your position, Fergi?
Yeah, right? I'm not. Yeah, I'm not in many cash.
So if I was in your position and I was hovering outside if I was sitting at if you were still 125th, I would maybe consider someone different.
Yeah.
But I think that I'm happy. I'm happy with where I am. I'm not trying to push on. I'm just trying to consolidate, and therefore, for me, Kane looks like I think he'll be the most captain player. I think it's pretty straightforward for me.
I think so. He lives the final day of the season as well, doesn't he? He always scores loads of goals at the end of the season, and Norwich are pretty poor as well, aren't they? Okay, let's have a look at a few questions we've had. Thank you so much for everyone who has sent in questions and general points and musings. Ian Parrin, great stuff all season long, gents. Obviously include yourself in there as well. Ian, question for the final day. If the overall Sky FF leader is 10 points clear before kickoff on Sunday, how many points will he need to score in the 10 games to be confident of retaining the lead?
I'm not convinced, honestly. There could be so many swings on that last day of the season. I'm not convinced that you wouldn't want to be getting a really high average per player that you owned to make yourself comfortable.
I think on Sunday it'll come down. I don't think it'll be the amount of points. It'll be down to how many points your differentials score.
Because say you had 2 or 3 transfers left and you were kind of in the top How close is it at the top just now?
11 points, and then 16, and then 27. Neil's got a fair lead.
Okay, so if I was in the top 3, like all it takes is 2 differentials without captain to catch.
Exactly.
Like so, like if you had been hoarding
Vardy
transfers
brace, and you're laughing,
and you're still sitting with like Gallagher and other pain points like that, and you moved on to, as I say, a Tony and Nketiah, and then moved with someone else that's a bit more expensive, like a Vardy or
I agree.
Manny, whoever starts up front for Liverpool, that you could really do damage there. So,
do you be massively surprised if Tony got a couple of goals against Leeds on the weekend? I wouldn't at all. Wouldn't at all. And the same for Vardy.
No. And if Brighton had a decent centre forward, they could have put Leeds to the sword at the weekend as well, and put a few past them. Difficult question to answer. How many points would you need to score? I would say that you would want 3 of your differentials, like so 3 of your 40% or lesser owned players to be picking up double figures. If that answers doesn't directly answer the question, but that's how I would think about it too.
It's going to be so interesting and so stressful for all the people involved, because obviously there's more games this evening, right? And obviously after today's today's Tuesdays and Thursdays game, there could be 5 or 6 players within 10 or 15 points of each other, and every goal, every booking, every clean sheet that goes on at 4 o'clock is going to be absolute hell on earth. I do envy you, obviously, all you guys involved, but I won't envy the roller coaster of emotions that'll be going on over a couple of hours. At least nowadays, it updates fairly quickly, whereas obviously when Liam won it a couple of years ago, he had to wait hours, didn't he?
How quickly they're going to update the man of the matches?
Oh, the man of the matches! Can you imagine if it goes down to a dodgy man of the match as to actually wins it? Leicester win 4-0 and Vardy scores a hat-trick, but they give it to Maddison because he had a fantastic game, and someone's got Maddison and it wins. It's, oh my goodness, it's
or it's one of those. It's the fond farewell. It's the last
fond farewell.
It's the last fixture at home for a club legend that's playing.
What about this?
As Piliqueta, like for Chelsea.
Yeah, or like I don't know. Bowen scores a brace for West Ham, and then they just give it to Noble. That'll be awful. But yeah, what a stressful couple of hours that is going to be. It's going to be super. Obviously, we wish the very, very best of luck to everyone involved there on the leaderboard. We'll take a look at the leaderboard later. Martin, we've answered a question on Liverpool. Dan Cox, great to have you with us, Dan. Nice one, boys. Glad the season's nearly done. We go again, 22-23. Indeed. Aman Tatler, a big thank you for the pods. A big help to be in my first season. Great work. What have been the highs and lows of your season, and any lessons to take out for next season? Very, very good question there, Aman. Paul, have you got any highs and lows that stick out?
Do you know, like, you can do as much analysis as you want, but people will only ever judge. Well, that's harsh. People often judge you on the outcome as opposed to the rationale behind it. So I guess the fact that we came on that stream the other week before Man United, before the Man United Brentford game, and it was good that the outcome from the analysis was exactly what it was, because I had a few people message me, and the whole, I've said before, the whole thing wasn't that Ronaldo wasn't the standout option because he was. It was whether or not it's worth 2 transfers, because you're going to bring him in and you're going to take him back out again. So it was good to get one of those right at a pinnacle time, and I made that move myself. A couple other ones that kind of went underrated for me in the season. I had Gallagher captain when he scored the brace away to Everton.
Nice.
And yeah, the Liverpool Man United 5-0 game at Old Trafford. That was this season, wasn't it?
What was this? Sorry.
Was it Liverpool beat Man United 5-0 at Old Trafford? That was this season, wasn't it? Yes,
it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So and Salah got a hat trick.
Yeah.
Okay. It feels that long ago, but I remember that being a time when a lot of people didn't put the captaincy on Salah and had captain someone that had perhaps an easier fixture during that day. I can't remember what the other
Chelsea
games
had
were,
Norwich, I think. It was the infamous game week 9 in FPL where loads of people went for Havertz captain, and he played up front and they won 7-0, and he was the only player in the whole team, including subs, not to get any kind of return.
Attacking returns.
Incredible.
So those are some of the highlights, and then some of the lowlights. I mean, I'm not particularly good at getting on those 8 million to 9 million bracket midfielders when the hauls come. Mount would have been on my never again list had he not done damage to Leeds last midweek. The Leicester assets, I'm dreadful at picking those at the right time. Probably when Liverpool, it worked out better well in the end, but it was when me and you had a call about, was it a call?
Friday night, Livermento captain.
Or was I just frantically messaging you about Livermento and whether I should bring him in or not? And then he got the 9-pointer doubled, and I dropped like a stone in the rankings that day. So,
but then, do you know what? I look back at that
immediate, now. It was an immediate load.
Yeah, but that's a really good example now of, at the time, that felt life or death, right? It felt like such a key point in the season. But that 18 points now, I would rather have a transfer and bring in Vardy now. Just as an example of how, when things seem so important at the start of the season, but if you miss out on an 18-pointer, it's just not the end of the world. It's like your overall rank will reflect how you've played as a whole throughout the whole season. And I would rather be 18 points behind now and have the chance to bring in Mane or Vardy this midweek. And I suppose that's one of my learnings, I suppose, is not to get too hyped up and absorbed in these, like I thought I was on to a real winner with Livermento. I used one transfer, I think, to transfer him in, and then 2 weeks later I used another transfer to transfer him out, and all I got was like 20 points off it. It's just like 20 points. If you look at all our mini leagues, look at the leaderboard, 20 points is nothing. I would rather have the transfers in hand. It's different when if you go for someone like De Bruyne last week. I mean, that's a season changer, right? Whoever did that has just completely transformed the season. But Livermento was never going to do that.
The highs have much outweighed the lows for me in that, because I was captain, the most captain player, I can never really feel the lows as much, because for those that have went differential players and have done really, really well, I'm with the majority, so the downside, like the drop isn't as big.
Yeah, I agree. I think I've had a bit of a mundane season actually. I don't think it helped that the template was really strong at the start. It means lots of engaged managers all got a good start, but then because lots of engaged managers then get good starts, they know what to do and how to manage their team. So it's been very tough to make gains. So I think I went to overhaul about 250th, so I'm 125th. I am still, very outside chance of making the top 100, but I've never really threatened to finish any higher, really. And I think a couple of learnings for me, just for example, that whole Livermento and the pissing about with all those sorts of players is, I say it's the end of every season, and I wish I would listen back at the start of the season, but find a good enabler, get premium defenders in, and just leave them for the season, and just roll like that. And I'm pretty sure that the majority of the people who are at the top have done something along those lines, and don't be scared, because I went with Ramsey at overhaul. Well, I say I went with Ramsey. I didn't go with Ramsey. I fought his corner and then didn't end up going with him because I didn't think he was good enough. When actually, if I'd have had Ramsey, because I hadn't had Ramsey, it meant like I don't think I've had Van Dijk all season, for example, and I couldn't get to Son either. So by just getting in that enabler and early in the season as well, I think that just opens up the rest of your team, doesn't it?
Yeah, you must have. I've got all Leicester players on my troll list, but Newcastle striking positions must be on yours, surely.
Yeah, brought it. He did score, actually. He scored the pen, didn't he? But even that, like messing around with Chris Woods. Like, if I look back at all my transfers I've made, I think, out of the 40 I've made, probably maybe 25 or 30 or maybe 30 have been pretty solid transfers. I think, even if they haven't exactly worked out, I think they've been the right transfers. Like, going back in on Chelsea for me was still the right move. It didn't work out, but I still think it was the right move. Whereby, messing around with Chris Woods and Livramento and trying to get that, that rogue haul, just don't bother. Just go for good players.
Others imagine will be bemoaning like Neves and Ryan Fraser, and there's a few other popular bandwagons that picked up kind of 20% ownerships out of nowhere for single game days as well.
Was Neto this season or last season?
That was the end of last season.
Last season. It was over. I think it was over Christmas or something. It was like a 5-for-1. Or...
He got injured, and he got injured.
Yeah.
They were playing a single game day against Arsenal, I think it was, or something like that.
Just all players like that. It's just don't bother with them. But yeah, I'm sure when it comes to game week 1, we'll have all these mega intricate plans, and someone like, I don't know, some like Tony will be injured, so Mbomo will be like in everyone's team because he's absolutely essential or something ridiculous like that. But yeah, good question there, Aman. And he also asks, what is your Sky 11 of the season? It's an interesting one. I don't know if you've got anything prepared for that, Paul.
Yeah, I do. So I think there was 2 questions. There was one about what my 11 is and what's the maximum points gained, which I've not done. I imagine if you look at the top of the point scoring charts and make a team of the top 11 players, you might be within budget by doing that. Maybe not. But yeah, my team of the year, and I've been quite cheeky in a couple of points, but I'll explain why. So San goals.
Yeah.
For me, so I'm talking. This is my personal experience of Sky season. So San goals, albeit I've got. I don't think I made a bad goalkeeper move this season. I had Ramsdale and Pope, who have both served me well at various different junctures. So I'm pretty happy with the goalkeeper moves I've made. And Sa got that 15-pointer on the single captaincy day as well. So pretty happy with that. Gehi, because he saved me from the Livramento pain.
And he scored 2 random goals.
I held him for 2 games this season, and he scored in both of them. Laporte, I was on Laporte when I had an ownership of less than 50%, and he's done incredibly well for me this season. Cancelo, because he's allowed me to auto default and captain when Man City's played, and he's never really let me down. I've got Rudiger and Silva. I think have both served me well at various different points of the season without being spectacular, and Rudiger has cost me a couple of games where I've not owned him, so he just makes the cut. Otherwise, he was on the cusp. So midfield, I've got Bowen, who he hauled a couple of times where I didn't own him. So again, I was considering not putting him in. If he didn't make it, Rafinha would have been in there. And I know that Rafinha's trolled loads of people, but I've caught him
you did.
for all his hauls and captained him on a lot of those days as well. I know that Dan absolutely hates him for those reasons. The same reasons I dislike owning Zaha and a few others that I never ever catch their hauls. And this is not a 1 season thing. This is every season. Mbuemo, same reason. I've caught all his hauls.
A last minute penalty was a killer for non-owners.
And a lot of people, and he's trolled a lot of people, so I'm happy with my relationship with Mbuemo.
I brought in Tony the previous Friday, and he got injured.
Or COVID.
COVID. So we missed that game. It was just Anyway, sorry.
Ryan Fraser, because he got that bandwagon and did absolutely nothing in the 5 or 6 games, and people were using transfers to get him in and using transfers to get him out. Whilst I was pretty happy. For the same reason, Broja, in that people brought him in. He did. He was like, so I've got 3 terms that I use often, right? Got Mauro Boselli, who's someone that's lightning in pre-season and then does nothing the whole season. You've got an Amir Zaki, who's amazing for the first half of the season and then dreadful for the second half of the season. And then a Rocky Santa Cruz, who is amazing for 1 season and then never ever repeats those same feats. So Broja for me is in the Amir Zaki category of first half of the season was excellent, brilliant value, and then has been dreadful for owners ever since, and cost owners the ability to get someone in that went on a run of hauls and couldn't get them in because of the way formation was set up. I can't remember who it was.
That was it. It was either Brouwer or Ward-Prowse, and I remember going with Ward-Prowse, not because I particularly thought he was going to score better, but because it allowed me to get to a 5-3-2 or something along those lines. As you say, it allowed another move, didn't it, rather than a 50-50 between the players themselves. Yeah, agree.
And then the last player I've got is Ronaldo. In that, again, I've owned them in good spells. One of them lasting one game, but but still, again, my experience of owning them has been pretty pleasant.
I think again, being the boring sort of bloke I am, I think Norgard deserves a shout out just for being an absolute bonus beast king, an incredibly cheap price. I think he's been superb.
Josh King.
No, don't say that. That's one of the 10. That's one of the 10 boo-boos.
That's in the troll list. The troll one.
It's going to be interesting next year because obviously we've had 2 seasons of COVID now, haven't we? Well, with 2.5, but we've got so used to maybe not planning 5 or 6 weeks ahead. I wonder what will happen next season because I'm kind of firmly in that camp anyway now. I think in the not plan too far ahead because inevitably things very rarely go to plan a month down the line. It doesn't even have to play players not available. It could be the player's form has dropped off a cliff. It could be the team's form has dropped off a cliff. It could be that absolute plum home to Newcastle one is not so plum anymore. Kind of in a month's time. I think there's so many variables in the Premier League. It could be that actually that a better option on the opposition team. They suddenly have a 4-for-1 come up, so it's better to go for a Newcastle player rather than your original planned Spurs player, for example. So I think I'm definitely going to be a lot more, I'm not going to plan ahead as much. I don't think because I don't think it suits my game. I've had very few successes planning weeks down the line.
Setting up your structure then is more important.
Structure
for you.
is much more.
It's more important in this game.
100% agree. It's all about the structure for me. Cool. Johnny K. Hi lads, my first season, really taking this seriously. Did lose a bit of interest after COVID. What's the biggest lesson you've taken? Yeah, I think for me, structure. Structure for me is everything in Sky. Same for Telegraph. I prefer to have a good structure over anything really, because you're never going to win or lose a season or a mini league just based on one even hat-trick in November, for example. It's not going to cost you anything, apart from a setback. But if you can get to anyone you want to within one move and not have to waste transfers, then that's massive. Any kind of major learning for you this season, Paul?
I don't think so. I think a couple of seasons back I wrote a list of learnings about not making 2 moves to get 1 player. I learned quite a few seasons back about the single day captaincy, so I've skipped. For those new to Sky, I think that's something to really bear in mind about not having to cover every single game day. So this season, currently I'm sitting 34th, and I've missed the Southampton Aston Villa game where Liverpool got the 9-pointer. I've missed the Southampton Brentford game where there was a mini Norgard bandwagon. And a few other players were coming in there.
Patrick Norgard.
I missed the Newcastle Everton game on the Thursday night. I missed the Leeds Wolves game on the Friday night, not through choice. That was more I had Kilman and I had Rafinha and didn't want to use another transfer for a player that I probably wouldn't want to keep long term anyway. And there was a few others maybe that I've missed as well. And what's the damage from those 4 games?
Exactly.
Well, I missed Liverpool's 9-pointer, and that's really it. I was never going to get a Wobie for the Everton versus Newcastle game, and I can't remember who scored big in that Southampton Brentford game. I mean, there was a few goals, so there might have been more but I think it was more obscure scorers, right? If I remember correctly, it wasn't like a Tony Hall or anything like that in that game either. So, so it's not learning for me. But if I was new to the Sky game, that's something that I would definitely bear in mind, that you don't necessarily have to cover all of these games or have a plan to cover them all.
I think listening to the Planet FPL pod, I think James has definitely kind of taught himself that, haven't he? I think he's mentioned it over the last month or two. And I remember when Liam won it a couple of seasons ago as well. Now, I think Liam said, he by far he didn't play the perfect game. He made plenty of mistakes. He didn't catch hauls, and he didn't cover every game day and stuff. You don't have to do that. I'm sure everyone here now in the top 6 or 7. We've got most of them in the chat now, but I'm pretty sure that Neil or Dave or Perry and a few of the other guys would say that they have definitely missed hauls, right? And they're still up there, still scrapping for the whole thing right at the end. So it's not.
Dave didn't do the. He publicly said this, so this wasn't like a private conversation, but he didn't do the Ronaldo move last week and was open about it on Twitter as well. So,
and he's still only 16 points off the lead. So yeah, absolutely. You don't have to cover every. Well, it's impossible to cover everything. It's possible to cover everything, and it's impossible to get everything right. So even if you do miss something, it's definitely not the end of the universe. Speaking of Dave, a huge thanks for the pods this year. He says they've been brilliant. Also to Dan Cox for his contributions throughout the season. Love to hear your thoughts on captaincy choices this week, particularly your thoughts being safe and explosive options these days. I think we've gone through that in all fairness. I think there's loads of Liverpool, right? It's take your pick. You can go for Mane, Diaz, Jota, whoever starts really. Vardy, Maddison, Villa player maybe, and there'll be loads of options on Sunday as well. Still think there's lots of gains there, and Q-Chard agrees. Thanks for the pause, lads. For reasons unknown, one transfer less, Salah and Gabriel flagged. He has Kane and KDB. Can you suggest an inspired final move? Pulisic?
Or Manny. There you go. You've been talking about him all pod, so if they don't have him, then and he starts versus Southampton, then he could get a Southampton team that's been shipping goals, and then at home to Wolves, who have been poor recently as well.
Yep, agree. Ben SkyFF, not fantasy related, interested on what you guys think. Coming to the last day of the season, who do you want to win the title race, top 4, and relegation? He says, thanks for all the help this season, lads. Bring on next season. Who do you want to win them, Paul?
So I have no personal allegiances to anybody. I'm a Hibs fan. I don't have a second team that's an English team or anything like that. Title, I'd go Man City. I don't like the thought of domination by one team coming from Scotland and watching the old firm do it year after years. Just doesn't make things competitive. I'd rather it was evenly spread. I didn't really like Man United's dominance in the 90s for that reason as well, and always cheered kind of, especially when underdogs were around there, kind of like Newcastle at the time. So Man City for the league, Spurs for the top 4, and was it the relegation battle? Probably Burnley's anti-football. I think if Lampard was given although seeing some of the tackles that the Leeds players have been putting in recently as well, it's I don't know. I say that, then I watched Rondon's tackle for Everton yesterday, so I can't.
Scissor tackle.
I can't tar Leeds under that brush, and then
Everton had 2 red cards yesterday.
I don't. Yeah. I'm really not bothered about who goes down out of those 3 teams.
Okay. For the title race, I think I would like Liverpool to win. That's because I do think that this Liverpool and Man City team are 2 of the best teams I've ever seen, and I also growing up, I didn't like Liverpool fans because most of the kids in my school were Liverpool fans, and they used to call Tottenham Snottenham, which used to really upset me. But they, like Liverpool, in the 90s and all that, didn't have a very good team, They didn't, but they still talked about like how they're the greatest team ever and all that sort of stuff. However, I've moved on since then, and now I do think that Liverpool fans were robbed of their Premier League celebrations when they won it a couple of years ago, when it was we were deep in lockdown, and I can't imagine what that would be like being a Spurs fan, missing the whole parade and going out with your mates and partying. So I think for that reason, I would like. I personally like Liverpool to win for that reason. I also think they're just an absolutely sensational team, and I think they're just absolutely fantastic. Top four, obviously Spurs, and relegation. This is like I do like I don't know, I do like a bit of drama sometimes, and I sometimes upset people where I say about certain things, but I think that the way Leeds played under Bielsa, I think they deserve to go down, and I know that's not a popular opinion, especially among Leeds fans, but they just didn't change at all. They just kept to their morals of playing shit, and that's why they're in the kind of place they are. I wouldn't mind if Everton went down, just because I just think just for something a bit different. I don't think Everton fans will be pleased with that either. But but I agree with you on Burnley. They're kind of anti-football stuff with Burnley. So I'd probably say Burnley overall. But whoever goes down deserves to go down. There's no argument there. FPL Fish managed to get on the live stream for the first time. Well, welcome, FPL Fish. Absolutely great to have you with us. Dan Barnes has slipped to 75th overall, sitting 6th in a few big mini leagues, but out of transfers. Would you play it safe with captains to finish in the top 100, or go different to try and win the mini leagues? Oh, you got different, Dan. Paul is now top of one of them.
You've got to try and win the mini leagues. I mean, the only people that's going to know that you finished top 100 is Dan, because he keeps it all written down in pen and paper. So if you say that you've got 5 top 10. Top 100 finishes, Dan will be able to call you out because he's got it written down in a notepad. Yeah. But it's not like FPL where it stores your history and anything like that as well. So
go for it, Dan. Matt says, thanks for the pod this season, really enjoyed them. Are there any other formats of fantasy football you recommend playing? Currently only do Sky FF. Well, if you play Sky, you would love the Telegraph, Matt. I'd say that straight away. Yeah. But I would also recommend Dream Team and FPL as well.
There's good Telegraph content on the Hub's website, so got like a beginner's guide in there as well. I've started writing on behalf of the Hub for the Telegraph site as well, so those that play Telegraph and get the weekly emails out, there's our top 3 picks for the week, and just a summary of the previous week as well. But yeah, I like Telegraph. There's no captaincy.
A brilliant game.
Yeah, I think it's it's definitely the most underrated game, I think.
The
simplest, it's very simple game.
And also in terms of support for those, who know about our Sky WhatsApp groups, who most people in those groups always do really well and have their most successful seasons. Currently, the top 2 overall in Telegraph are in the Hub WhatsApp group for the Telegraph. And I think probably there's about 10 managers in the top 30 in there as well. So again, you'll have all the support you need to do well if you join as a premium Hub member. Dale just says, thanks for the great content. Hopefully I can get 90% of my players playing on the final day. Thanks for all your support throughout the season there, Dale. FF Nickel says, thanks a lot. As does Tom Hartnell. Says a must watch with really insightful advice. Sam White, quick transfer, 1 transfer left. Was planned for tonight to bring in Saka for Bowen, but now he is playing Unreal and has VVD and Salah. Do I risk one of them out? Guessing, hoping Salah is out. I think the move is to wait and maybe go for another Liverpool player personally. Paul, would you still say to go for Saka this evening, or BVD to Saka?
Have a look at where you are in your mini leagues as well.
It's all where you want to end up, right?
If you're top and you're tight and you think the person in second's got Saka, I'd maybe do it to block it off, because you do get 3 games Saka, like the double captaincy and the last game of the season, whereas Bowen only got the 1. So
fair. Tom says, asked about a summer meetup too, if you missed that. I don't think, Paul, I don't want to speak on your behalf, but I think you're going to find it tough with a new Bab on the way, I think.
Yeah, I'm not ruling it out, but I can't definitely commit to anything.
Tom, I think you should arrange one. I should be able to make it. I would guess he's on about doing one in Bristol, which is pretty central. It just happens that Tom's in Bristol as well. But yeah, you should arrange one, Tom. Let's get it out there. Let's get it on Twitter, and I'm sure we'll have a good turnout. Final question of SkyFF Robin: do you have any plans for a series of mid-summer episodes? Paul, I don't know if you want to answer this one.
So like for the Sky content, I think we're just going to do a similar schedule to what we usually do, right? Like maybe like 2 or 3 pre-season. We'll ask Ian, Dan, and Liam to come on maybe 1 episode each if that's what they want to do. Set up like that. We can maybe theme each of the different ones, maybe like half, like one of them maybe be like half retrospective of the season gone, and how we can apply anything we learned to the new season. One would be going through the player lists, and then one would be closer to the season and know more information, I guess, something like that. But also, so a couple of things have led me to think about some additional content, and I've ran this past Fergi, and we both think it's worth a go and see if it takes off or not. So I met up with Liam and Niall Murphy from Fantasy Football Scout earlier, like in the Christmas time, just for a few beers. I'd never met Liam in person before, so we were in Edinburgh. 3 of us met up, and I just posted something on Twitter afterwards saying, "Brilliant catch up, just chatting Sky FF," and then a few of the comments got me thinking, because they're like, "Oh, that'd be amazing insight to watch people in their natural element. They're just like bartering off things about Sky." And I was like, "Oh, maybe there's something in that. Maybe that kind of social aspect of it, and less of a here's a number of questions of which you need to answer, and instead going into natural chat and more kind of banter kind of level." And Fergi and I play multiple formats, so we play Sky, FPL, Telegraph, and Dream Team. I play some fan team and stuff. I still don't know how serious I'm going to take that. But if you take those 4 as the kind of core games we play, Fergie and I both have a really competitive nature. So we were thinking of doing a competition between the 2 of us that would add all of our scores up for those 4 games and then play off the totals against each other, whether we put a factor in for that. So say that at the end of the season, Telegraph on average scores double the points of FPL, or whatever way we would factor in like that. Something that's not as complicated as I'm making it sound like anyway. But we were going to do a 15-minute a week podcast where we talk through roughly how our game weeks went, if we've got any rough plans, without giving away vital information to the other one, but again in more a relaxed kind of banter type scenario. Because before we go on air every week, Fergie always says,
always the best content.
Yeah. And I avoid talking about Sky now, because I was like, I get to like the later on the pod, and I was like, I can't remember what we said before and what we said after. I don't want to repeat myself. So I've stopped answering any Sky related questions he asks me at the start.
I thought you'd been ignorant.
But just having that, like Fergie asks me every week, how's your fantasy week went? I was like, oh, Telegraph, by the way, I'm like, so I think you and I are both kind of around about 30th overall just now as well. Yeah. So we're having a bit of banter about that. So taking that and then doing just some content it's not facilitated in any way. It's not open questions. It's not interaction other than with one another and bantering off, and then just recording it for 50 minutes and then uploading it. We're thinking about doing as well. So we'll probably do that in pre-season. Set the rules.
Absolutely.
Set what the rewards are as well. We were talking about. the loser paying for the other one to come to their home city and putting them up for a night and then paying for the drinks or something like that during the day as well. So we're thinking of doing that, which isn't going to be maybe insightful in this is how to plan and this is how to do this, but hopefully there'll be some nuggets of information that people can take to kind of, and how they would maybe take one learning from one game and apply it to the way you set up for another. We were talking earlier about the team structure being important for telegraphing similarities in Sky in that sense. So maybe some of that would come out.
Cool. It's probably going to be exclusive to Fantasy Football Hub members as well. It's probably worth saying. So if you aren't a member of the Hub, if you need any more reasons to join the Hub, then there is one for you. So yeah, we're going to try and do that this season. Paul is going to do all the production work, all the legwork, and I'm going to do what he does every single week. Just rock up with a beer and just chat stuff. So it should be good fun. We'll work out as well. Obviously Paul and I will have competition against each other, but we'll probably open up some of the kind of mini league as well, because we're well aware that a lot of people play these games. So we'll play along with the community as well. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting, and it gives me even more of a reason to do it now, because there is no way there is no way I'm going to lose to Paul next season in front of all these people, and have to come on every week and go, oh, I've had another shit game week. Paul's winning again.
I really need to tighten up my FPL game, because I'm dreadful at it.
You need to tighten them all up, buddy. Let me tell you, because 34th will not be good enough in Sky next season. So yes, look forward to that, ladies and gents. Just a quick look at my team before we wrap up. This is how it stands at the moment. Pope in goals, Rudiger, Cancelo, Matip could be the player who puts me into the top 100 this week with a 20-pointer. Thiago Silva and Laporte. Coutinho, he's the only other player really I've got a hope in hell of, if he can do something in these final two games, he could jump me up as well. Saka and Gallagher, Salah and Kane. In terms of captaincies, Saka captain tonight. I've got it on Salah at the moment for tomorrow if he plays, as I think we all think it's very unlikely, so he'll probably go to Matip, assuming he starts. At the moment on Thursday, got a few options: Rudiger, Silva, Coutinho. I'll see how it goes before I make a decision on that. And then I think Kane on the final day, though I will be tempted to go for Salah if he starts against Wolves. No transfers left. Hoping to be able to squeeze into the top 100 there. Quick update on the Four Nations League. There's been a couple of moves. So Ian Parrin has now moved 25 points clear on the top. It looks like, Liam, you may have to get your wallet out, part with some of your 50 grand and get the postage done to send it to Rugby, where Ian is from, unless Paul can pull something out of the bag. 25 points to make up, Paul. That is going to be tough with only a few game days left. I've managed to pull ahead of Dan and Liam, 40 points. I'm not exactly sure which moves did that, to be honest, because it was very close, but I've managed to make up 40 points in this last week or two. So
Kane over. Liam doesn't have Kane or Son.
Oh, it's probably Kane then. I had the 20 for Kane. Yeah,
I don't know if Dan's got Son.
But yeah, I think 40 points should probably be enough. I've got a captain for each game, unless one of them goes absolutely rogue. It looks like I've got the bronze medal sealed up there potentially. Dan in 4th, 2 points ahead of Liam there. So that is the state of the Four Nations League at the moment. The Hub £500 League, 10th place Steve Manning, 9th Tom Ford, shot up all the way from 21st up to 9th. Nima Kafai Golamadi in 8th. He's had a fantastic season. Anup down to 7th. Well done, Anup. Great season as well. Kieran Sutton is in 6th and also in 3rd. Ian Parrin was 3rd in this league now. Now he's down to 5th. Billy Fraser 4th. Cian McKenna, Sky Kangaroo, always there or thereabouts, and he's always there or thereabouts in 2nd place. And still top, though he has been sliding down the overall leaderboard. Frog Skills FC, Liam Stevens, very, very well played there, Liam. So you're interested to see if you can hold on, because Cian and Kieran are right up your backside. So that is going to be interesting finish there. And it is all change on the overall leaderboard. talk about swings. I mean, this is crazy because a few of these names were just not anywhere near the top 10 a few weeks ago. So do you remember we were talking in November about, there's definitely the winner's going to be in the top 50 now. I mean, what tomfoolery? Because the leaderboard has changed multiple times in the last 2 weeks. Never mind the last, 6 months now. 10th place, Keane McKenna. 9th place, Liam Stevens, who has been top. So he's gone from top to 9th in a week or two. 8th, Luke Garrity. 7th, Byron Radford. 6th, Matthew Dickey. 5th, Perry Hart, who was in the chat. Well done, Perry. 4th, Andrew Wright, who is, I understand, a very seasoned fantasy player who was top last week. So well done there, Andrew. 3rd, Dave Perrin. Still there, Dave. What a season. Many, many congratulations for an incredible season there, Dave. 2nd, Mark Wisdish, who's flown up in recent weeks. And top of the shop, Neil Curra, who is in the chat, who has got an 11-point lead over Mark. Very, very well played, Neil.
Good team name as well.
I'm Eric. I'm Eric Laporte. Very good. Yeah, I'm rubbish at looking at those things. I'm Eric Laporte. Fantastic. Well done, Neil, and well done to everyone. You've all had absolutely incredible seasons.
Matthew Dickey's another Hibs fan as well.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah.
But well done to everyone on that list. Absolutely superb seasons you have all had. Very, very well played indeed. And that is it from us for this season. As usual, thank you all so much for watching and listening all season, not just this week, but every single week since pre-season. Your continued support, everyone, is much, much appreciated. Your interaction, your support, your supportive words, the amount of watches and views we get on this every single week, it really, really does keep us motivated to keep churning out and coming back every single week. If anyone has any suggestions or feedback on how we can improve the stream or podcast for next season, please feel free to drop us a message on Twitter or on a DM. We want to continue being your go-to podcast and provide you with the information and support you need to win at fantasy football. Thank you so much, Paul, for all your brilliant insight. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your thoughts and meticulously going through all the questions every single week. All through the season. It's been an absolute pleasure as usual. Next time we'll join you, you will be a father. So the very, very best of luck with that. I think Paul's in the chat and he can attest to it. Everyone says it's really, really, really tough becoming a parent for the first time. The first few months, not too bad because they're quiet and they don't move, and you think, oh, do you know what? It's an absolute breeze. You wait, mate. You wait till this time next year. You'll be, I can't make it. I'm so tired. I can't make it this week. But no, seriously, many, many congratulations, and thank you for your, everything all season. Where can people find you, Paul?
On Twitter at Paul McAnulty1, MCANULTY.
My Twitter handle is at FFH_Fergi. So this podcast and video will be on the Fantasy Football Hub, Sky and TFF YouTube channel, and also available on all major podcast platforms. If you liked what you watched, please click the like button. Remember to subscribe in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. And if you enjoyed your listen, please rate the podcast versions and leave some comments. Now is the time. If you've enjoyed the podcast over the season, and you listen on the podcast version, please go on to Apple Podcasts or wherever you go, Spotify. Give us 5 stars and give us a comment. It'd be absolutely superb if you could do that for us to show any appreciation at all. If you like what you watched, please press like. Remember to subscribe. Our handles on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok are at FFH_HQ, and our podcast Twitter handle is at FFH_Sky. So please follow and feel free to ask any questions. We should also give a massive thank you to Frank at FF Stuff, because obviously we have used his graphics all season for the podcast. So thank you so much, Frank, for all your brilliant work there. Our website is fantasyfootballhub.co.uk, where you'll find everything you need for fantasy football all under one roof, including player comparison tools, the fixture ticker, Opta stats, top player team reveals, and much, much more. We wish you the very best of luck for the final week of the season. We will be back in pre-season rearing to go again. Have a great summer, and goodbye for now.